Hello and welcome to round number one. We are on the play here with a hand I can't pass up. It's got Faithless Looting and a land that taps for red. I've been playing a lot of Faithless Looting decks lately. And pretty much every Faithless Looting deck only ever wants to have Faithless Looting all the time at any given moment. Card's just great. I guess we're stuck pitching these. Definitely did not like the way that Faithless Looting went. Temple of Deceit. Alright, so we assume Ad Nauseam. Fortunate to hit another land here. And we're going to be casting Is It Charm looting here. Pentad Prism, man, that's like one thing that's really tough for me to decide on. I guess that happens. Yeah, I feel like I'm just sort of priced into looting here. When you use Is It Charm to Spell Pierce, let's see here, why don't we do blue-black? No, red-black is better here. When you feel like you're priced into spell piercing with Is It Charm and you're nowhere near winning, it's just often not going to result in a W. This is really hard here. Lightning Axe. Like if I hit the land, I'm very glad to still keep Ancestral so I can cast as Foretold Ancestral, but maybe I pitch the Goryos. Yeah, I kind of need to be actually combo killing my opponent. It's too slow to do it the other way. Alright, here's to hoping we don't die to like Simian Spirit Guide. It's a good hit. We also need a Kiki-Jiki though. Here's hoping we don't die to Simian Spirit Guide, lands, Ad Nauseam, and Angel's Grace. Tap land means it would require 2 Simians. Alright. Looks like that's probably not happening. Wow. Magic Online sure does like to move my windows around. Looks like they scry to the top and then 2 to the bottom. Alright. Probably want to lead with this. With mana, not using the As Foretold. I'd like to leave that up. Definitely don't need the extra Ancestral. We're struggling to find the fatties here. So there's 2 lines of thought here. There's save Is It Charm for my opponent's turn. Hope that somehow that helps me. Which is not very unreasonable. I mean, they could have Blue Pact, of course. If I do that, I get to Ancestral. Or I can aggressively Is It Charm looking for Kiki-Jiki and then have a Living End. I think I'm going to do it this way. Since I'm not guaranteed to hit, I would have just hit land, yeah. So now we pass. They can kill at instant speed, so I don't really want to like loot there. Alright. It's a fine place to start. Still would love to find Kiki-Jiki. That's more important than Gristlebrand. Did not. Definitely don't need 2 of those. I guess if we get blue pacted, but with basic swamp, I don't even get 2 Is It Charms. I mean, I guess I get one on my opponent's turn off of the As Foretold. I think I'm supposed to just do this. I was probably supposed to draw 7 right now, so I was not supposed to play that swamp. Sure. So they have to have blue pact here. All right, sweet. I was going to be real sad about this swamp in a moment. All right. Swan Song and Dispel. Brutalities. Spyglass isn't really doing anything for me. Obstructionist. Can I do anything cute with this obstructionist? Not really. Spyglass, by the way, I'm sure someone will bring it up, right? Spyglass on Lightning Storm is certainly a thing we can do. Unfortunately, when you're doing something like that, you're talking about a situation where your opponent's already put their entire deck in their hand. And at the point where they've already put their entire deck in their hand, I'm not very excited about thinking that my Spyglass is going to be relevant, right? They're going to have their Lab Maniac in, or they're going to have a bounce spell. I mean, there's going to be a way around it if they have their entire deck in their hand. So it's more important to either focus on killing your opponent before they can put their entire deck in their hand, or preventing them from putting their entire deck in their hand. So things like Spell and Swan Song and Brutality help me there. Spyglass on Lightning Storm doesn't help in that regard. It only helps if they didn't have a single way to deal with my Spyglass in their entire deck, or another way to kill me, that is Lab Maniac. These are abysmally slow. I think they're supposed to go. I definitely need my Mana Monkeys. I do not want Lightning Axe. I think this is going to be it. Yes, I mean, like, you could try to have, like, removal for Lab Maniac and Spyglass on Lightning Storm and just try to close out all their win cons, but the problem, of course, is they have their entire deck in their hands. So they have a bunch of pacts, they have probably bounce spells, stuff like that. So even if you do have, you know, Lightning Axes to kill their guy, it probably won't resolve anyway. Looks like this is where we're at. All right. This hand is acceptable. The games where you're discarding lands to your Faithless Looting with this deck are not usually very good, considering that you really need to be aggressively pitching your fatties and trying to hit additional spells. And something like Mardu Pyromancer can use Faithless Looting to clean up hands like this very well, since it's playing an entirely different game. But here, that's not necessarily the case. That said, I still think it's really hard for me to pitch a hand with double Enabler. Even if I do end up pitching some lands at first, we can probably have that work out. In this matchup, I don't really care about my life total, so I'll just pitch that Cascade Bluffs so it doesn't get in the way. See where that scry goes. Excuse me. Top. All right. I guess Myers probably better to play here. Yeah, well. I'm trying to think about whether or not, if my opponent just doesn't really do much, if I loot with this charm. I think I definitely do, but I also take the opportunity to spell pierce something like on life. Yeah. Blood Crypt. All right. Think I can get away with slamming my ass Foretold here. And then using Brutality and holding up Is It Charm next turn. That seems good. Steam Vents probably wasn't the play, though. Yeah, that was a mistake. I think Watery Grave actually was better. I often want to avoid Watery Grave, but this was not one of those cases. It doesn't really matter at all, but still think it would have been better to grab. Since we have Brutality Vengeance. Those scries went to bottom. My opponent is DC'd. Oh no. Well, that's just no good. It's just no good at all. Hopefully they'll be right back. But yeah, this turn we have a lot of options, right? We have Brutality, we have Faithless Saluting, we have like aggressive Is It Charm usage. I think, assuming our draw step isn't Gristlebrand, I think what we're probably going to do is Bloodstained Mire. Do I fetch first? No, probably not. So just play Bloodstained Mire, Brutality pitching, I'm assuming nothing, to Duress, or bad Duress, I guess. Take a look at their hand, and then likely leave up Spell Pierce on their turn, but we'll potentially be reevaluating depending on what their hand looks like. If we draw Gristlebrand, we both have the option of aggressive Is It Charm looting into Goryo's, which is, I think, just worse than Brutality pitch Gristlebrand Goryo's. It's particularly nice that when we Brutality pitch Gristlebrand, if that is our draw, we get to see if it's a risk for us to Goryo's the Gristlebrand right now, after we interact with their hand. So I think this is going to be a pretty good spot for us. If our opponent's hand is particularly redundant, then maybe we'll have some trouble, but they have to have, again, they have to have a particularly redundant hand, and right now they just don't really have a lot of mana. They could have a bunch of Simian Spirit Guides hiding in that hand, but outside of that, there's no Suspended Lotus Blooms coming off, there's no Pented Prisms in play. Our opponent's just sort of naturally playing lands, which is hard for them to get to the 6 mana required that way. Again, Simian Spirit Guides can help them cheat a little bit, but it also makes it a little harder for them to get around this Is It Charm unless they have Blue Pact, which again we'll get to see off this Brutality. So yeah, I feel good about our spot once our opponent returns. I had another opponent DC this morning pre this recording. I wonder if Magic Online is having issues or if it's just a coincidence. I imagine it's just a coincidence, but you never know. Give our opponent just a little bit more time here, and if they don't return, I'll go ahead and pause this and have us return once they're finished. I think this matchup is not a bad one for us. Our opponent's not really interacting with us very much. We have some reasonable ways to interact with them, surprisingly, and we can pretty much race them. Our draws are generally going to be on par, but that said, our opponent's mana draws have been a little slow. It is nice to have Is It Charm, though, to try and break that up somewhat. Yeah, you get the idea. All right, well, I guess I'll give us a pause here and check in with you. Hopefully my opponent does arrive again, and we'll turn it back on and finish up this match. But if not, I guess I'll see you in round 3. We'll figure it out. See you in a bit. All right, we're back. Opponent finally did reconnect, so we did draw something that didn't really change our plan. Let's go ahead and stick with the original plan of bad duress plus leave up Is It Charm. Adnaz, Angel's Grace, Guide. So they actually did have everything they needed here, and a somewhat redundant hand, though we did have the Is It Charm to stop them. That said, I still take the non-redundant piece. Don't think there's any reason to do anything otherwise. Perfect information here. Still not gonna fetch. I guess I wouldn't really be putting down Is It Charm now because of the As Foretold, so I can go ahead and flash this back. Don't need to play a land first or anything like that. Brutality is pretty sweet. Let's go ahead and play this land out so that I can brutality them. With Is It Charm still available. They're going to go ahead and cast this anyway. Watery Grave. Just really don't care about my life total. Mountain. Spell Pierce mode. Opponent's had enough. All right, see you in round number 2.